are concerned that they were using this dossier to find a way to look into the Trump campaign.
All right, let's bring in Kellyanne Conway, counselor to the president, who is live this morning with us. Kellyanne, if this is true, I mean, they're saying their sources are confirming this. What in the world? Can you believe this? What is your reaction?
Well, look at the reaction of our president just this morning, Ainsley. There is a lot of disgust that this has gone on for so long, and that at the heart of this, people refuse to report who actually paid for the dossier at different times. And I know people love to talk about how we're so obsessed with Hillary Clinton here. The fact is, we only have to talk about it because people won't let go of an election that she lost miserably. And she's going to be an ungracious loser. And people continue to talk about the 2016 election in light of the dossier, in light of this ridiculous concocted Russian collusion delusion. It has been 1 year to the day since President-elect Trump had his press conference in Trump Tower lobby. It was January 11th last year. And the night before, the dossier came to light, and it was explosive overnight. And here we are a year later, and we're still talking about it through a nonsense lens. Look, this White House has complied with requests for information. Everybody who's been asked to be interviewed has, as far as I can tell. But what are we doing talking about that constantly, especially on other networks, and not talking about every single accomplishment, all the good that's happening? Stuff happens here every single day. Do you realize yesterday you had Democratic senators and members of Congress coming to this White House on very little notice, standing with the president as he signed into law bipartisan, bicameral legislation to stop fentanyl from pouring into our communities? We have a fentanyl problem in this country. People, there's an information underload about fentanyl. What is fentanyl? Look it up, everybody. Fentanyl. Educate yourselves, because the other people want to talk about Hillary Clinton and collusion and dossiers which haven't been verified. Right. And we want to stop the poison from coming into this country. And that's the big contrast of the day. And you know what? Some days I'm really hopping mad that people are in charge of educating and informing the American people refuse to do their job when great things are happening here. That president gave the pen yesterday to Democratic Senator Ed Markey of Massachusetts, who sponsored that legislation, whose state and neighboring states like New Hampshire are suffering under the scourge, this crisis next door that we're going to bend the curve on together.
Well, we were talking in the first hour about how you look at the big three networks, and last week they devoted most of their time to talking about the Michael Wolff book, which is very gossipy and all sorts of problems with it, as opposed to talking about the fact that we hit 25,000 in the stock market.
But that's good news.
Sure, and here's some other good news. Look at the Quinnipiac poll. It's good news for the administration, because only one-third of the country feels that the economy is not good or poor, but 66%. Two-thirds of the country say right now the economy is excellent or good, Kellyanne.
And you know why they say that, Steve? Because they see it and they feel it. They open up their 401k statements, which have exploded under President Trump's watch, and because of his leadership. You can't argue with the numbers, with the facts and figures. The consumer confidence, the manufacturer's confidence is booming. It's at an all-time high. Unemployment is at an all-time low, including among African Americans, teenagers, Hispanics, and the downward trend on unemployment among women. We are about to become a nation of jobs in search of labor, where we've been traditionally, especially in the last administration, a nation of labor, labor in search of jobs. And last night I was on a different network, and the anchor actually said, when I was ticking through these facts, okay, but what's that got to do with anything? That is everything to Americans. It may not have anything to do with people who have these titillating graphics about Russia and about President Trump and trying to get in his way at every turn. But you see his response? The best response President Trump makes to everything is just by getting up every morning and going to work and doing his job. This week alone, having these historic, transparent, accountable talks for all of America to see, bicameral, bipartisan, on immigration. Yesterday, signing, I think it was 5 or 6 bills into law. Things happen here every single day, the bilateral with the Prime Minister of Norway, and yet people are still stuck in last year's election and about that woman who will never be president. No one at the White House, I said last night, no one at the White House talks about Hillary Clinton, only when we're forced to, and only with the requisite eye roll,
let's not talk about
because we talk about 2016.
Let's not talk about last night. Let's talk about this morning. Tom Homan, acting ICE director, said this about what's going to be effective on the border and what has to happen, because he knows we're looking at some type of compromise maybe right away. Let's listen.
If we don't address